Have you ever noticed something strange? The harder you try to forget something, the more it stays on your mind. The harder you try to stop feeling sad, the heavier that sadness becomes. The more you tell yourself, "Come on, be stronger," the more exhausted you feel inside. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can force it down for a few seconds, maybe even a few minutes. But the moment you let go, it shoots right back up with even more force. That's exactly how most people treat their emotions. They hide their sadness behind a smile. They cover their anxiety with the words, "I'm fine." They push themselves through another workday when their mind and body have already run out of fuel. On the outside, everything looks normal. On the inside, they're slowly falling apart. Then they ask themselves, "Why don't I feel any better?" Because you cannot heal what you refuse to feel. Most of us were raised to believe that uncomfortable emotions are signs of weakness. If you're sad, cheer up. If you're tired, push harder. If you're hurting, get over it. So we spend years fighting our own minds, believing that every painful emotion is an enemy we have to defeat. But Stoicism teaches something radically different. A Stoic doesn't treat emotions like enemies, and they don't let emotions take control either. Instead, they sit with them, they observe them, they understand them, and then they let them pass. The same way you watch dark clouds drift across the sky without trying to grab them or chase them away. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop fighting your sadness, your fear, your anxiety, or your pain, those emotions begin to lose their grip on you, not because you defeated them, but because you stopped feeding them with resistance. In this video, you'll discover one simple Stoic principle that can completely change the way you experience every emotion for the rest of your life. You don't have to become emotionless. You simply have to stop fighting what's already happening inside you. And strangely enough, that may be the very moment real peace finally begins. The first thing you need to understand is this: your emotions are not the real problem. The real problem is the way you react to your emotions. Most people spend their entire lives fighting whatever is happening inside them. They wake up feeling drained and immediately beat themselves up for not having enough energy. They feel anxious before a meeting, before opening another bill, before a doctor's appointment, or before having a hard conversation with someone they love. Then they become anxious about being anxious. They feel sad because a relationship is falling apart, because their kids don't call as much anymore, because work feels meaningless, or because life didn't turn out the way they once imagined. But instead of listening to that sadness, they try to bury it under more work, more scrolling, more shopping, more noise, and more empty conversations. The real battle is not the first emotion. The real battle is the resistance that comes after it. This is what the Stoics understood thousands of years ago. They did not believe you could fully control the first feeling that appears in your body. Fear may show up. Anger may rise. Disappointment may hit you out of nowhere. Just like a sudden summer storm, emotions can arrive without asking for permission. But what is always within your control is how you meet them. Do you panic and wrestle with the storm, or do you stand still long enough to let it pass? One of the greatest strengths of a Stoic mind is the ability to separate emotion from identity. They don't say, "I am a failure." They say, "I am feeling like a failure right now." They don't say, "I am broken." They say, "I am experiencing pain right now." That small shift creates space, and in that space, you stop being dragged around by every feeling that knocks on your door. Remember this: emotions are visitors. They are not the owner of the house. If you try to throw them out the second they arrive, the fight begins. But if you calmly open the door, observe them without resistance, and let them stay only as long as they need to, they will leave when their job is done. That is not weakness. That is the strength of a person who no longer has to go to war with himself. Lesson 1. Stop fighting your sadness. Here's a paradox that most people never notice. Sadness isn't what keeps you stuck. Fighting your sadness is. Think about the last time you felt truly down. Maybe it was after an argument with your spouse. Maybe someone you trusted let you down. Maybe you looked in the mirror one morning and quietly wondered, is this really the life I thought I'd be living by now? What was the first thing you did? You probably told yourself, stop thinking about it. Snap out of it. Be strong. I don't have time for this. But the harder you pushed your sadness away, the louder it became. Now, you weren't carrying just one burden. You were carrying two: the sadness itself and the frustration of not being able to make it disappear. A Stoic chooses a different path. Instead of asking, how do I stop feeling sad, they ask, what is this sadness trying to show me? That one question changes everything. The moment you become curious instead of resistant, you stop being dragged around by your emotions. You become the observer instead of the prisoner. So the next time sadness shows up, don't reach for your phone. Don't bury yourself in work. Don't distract yourself with another episode, another drink, or another endless scroll. Sit quietly for a few minutes, take a slow breath, and simply admit the truth. I'm sad. That's it. No judgment, no shame, no rush to fix yourself, just honesty. Then watch what happens. You'll notice that sadness never stays the same. Sometimes it grows stronger. Sometimes it softens. Sometimes it quietly fades without you even realizing it. Like waves rolling onto the shore, every emotion rises, reaches its peak, and eventually falls away. That's the natural rhythm of the human mind. You don't have to force sadness to leave. You only have to stop chaining it to yourself with fear and resistance. Ironically, the fastest way through sadness is often to stop trying so hard to escape it. Lesson 2. Stop waging war against exhaustion. We live in a culture that celebrates being busy. If your calendar is packed, people assume you're successful. If you're always answering emails, taking calls, and pushing through another long day, you're called driven. But if you admit you're exhausted, people tell you to work harder, drink more coffee, stay motivated, keep grinding. So that's exactly what most people do. They ignore what their body has been trying to tell them for months, sometimes even years. They wake up already tired, but force themselves through another day. They sleep 5 hours and convince themselves they'll catch up later. They wear burnout like it's a badge of honor, until one day, their body makes the decision for them. A Stoic sees exhaustion differently. Your body is part of nature, and nature has limits. No tree bears fruit every single season. No river flows at full strength every day of the year. Everything in nature moves through cycles of effort and recovery. You're no different. Exhaustion isn't your enemy. It's a message. It's your body quietly saying, slow down. Take care of me. Something needs to change. The real danger isn't being tired. The real danger is pretending you're not. Real strength isn't pushing until you collapse. Real strength is having the wisdom to know when to move forward and when to pause. So the next time you feel completely drained, don't immediately call yourself lazy. Ask yourself one simple question: do I need more discipline right now? Or do I need more recovery? Sometimes the answer will be discipline, but sometimes the bravest thing you can do is give yourself permission to rest without guilt. Because rest is not quitting. Rest is preparation. A calm mind, a healthy body, and a restored spirit will always carry you farther than a burned-out soul pretending to be strong. The Stoics understood this long ago. You cannot master your mind if you constantly betray your body. Sometimes the most disciplined decision you'll make all day is simply allowing yourself to recover. Lesson 3. Don't resist the pain. Observe it. No one gets through life without pain. At some point, you'll lose someone you love. You'll watch a dream fall apart. You'll hear words you can't unhear. You'll make a mistake you wish you could take back. Pain is part of being human. The Stoics never denied that, but they also understood something that most people never realize. Pain is only the first wound. The second wound is the one we create ourselves. The moment something painful happens, the mind goes to work. Why did this happen to me? What if I never recover? I should have done things differently. If only I could go back. Before long, you're no longer suffering because of what happened. You're suffering because your mind keeps replaying the same story over and over again. That's where most of the suffering comes from. So instead of immediately trying to escape the pain, pause. Observe it. If it's emotional pain, don't label it. Don't judge it. Simply notice that it's there. If it's physical pain, pay attention to it with curiosity. Where do you feel it? Does it stay the same, or does it shift? Even slightly. With every breath, you'll discover something surprising. No sensation stays exactly the same. It moves. It rises. It fades. Then it rises again, like waves rolling in and out with the tide. But most people never notice this because they're too busy fighting it. A Stoic doesn't pretend pain doesn't exist. A Stoic simply refuses to let pain become the driver of their life, because pain is temporary. Character is permanent. When you learn to sit quietly with discomfort instead of running from it, something powerful begins to happen. You realize that peace doesn't come from living a pain-free life. It comes from knowing that no matter what life places in front of you, you no longer have to fear what you feel. And the moment you stop fearing your pain, it begins to lose its power over you. Lesson 4. Every emotion has its own lifespan. One of the greatest mistakes we make is believing that the way we feel right now is the way we'll feel forever. When you're overwhelmed, it feels like the anxiety will never end. When you're heartbroken, it feels like the pain will always be there. When you're lonely, it convinces you that you'll always be alone. But that's the lie. Emotions love to tell. Nature doesn't work that way. The sun rises, and it sets. The tide comes in, and it rolls back out. Storms don't stay in the sky forever, and neither do your emotions. Every feeling has a beginning, a peak, and an ending. The problem is, most people never allow that ending to happen. Instead, they keep their emotions alive. They replay the same conversation 100 times. They relive the same disappointment every morning. They imagine worst-case scenarios before anything has even happened, without realizing it. They keep feeding the very emotion they're trying to escape. The Stoics understood a simple truth. An emotion is like a visitor. You don't control when it knocks on your door, but you do control whether you invite it to live in your house. So when sadness arrives, notice it. When anger shows up, acknowledge it. When fear speaks, listen without obeying. Then return your attention to what needs to be done today. Don't build a lifetime of suffering from a moment that was only meant to pass through you. Trust the rhythm of nature. Every emotion eventually completes its journey. Your job isn't to force it to disappear. Your job is simply not to hold on to it with resistance, fear, or endless rumination, because the moment you stop feeding an emotion, it begins to run out of energy. And when you finally allow every feeling to come, stay, and leave in its own time, you'll discover a freedom that no one can ever take away from you. Lesson 5. True strength begins the moment you stop running from yourself. Most people have the wrong idea about strength. They think a strong person never cries, never gets anxious, never feels overwhelmed, never falls apart. But that's not strength. That's emotional suppression. The Stoics never taught people to become cold or emotionless. They taught people to become free. Free from being controlled by every feeling that comes and goes. You can feel sadness without becoming a sad person. You can experience fear without letting fear make your decisions. You can carry pain without allowing pain to define your identity. That's what real inner strength looks like. Remember this: an emotion is an experience. It is not who you are. One bad day doesn't mean you have a bad life. One failure doesn't make you a failure. One season of anxiety doesn't mean you'll live with anxiety forever. Everything changes, including you. So the next time an uncomfortable emotion shows up, don't rush to get rid of it. Pause. Take one slow breath. Notice what's happening inside you. Then quietly say, "This is what I'm feeling right now." Nothing more, nothing less. You don't have to fix yourself in that moment. You don't have to force yourself to be positive. You don't have to pretend you're okay. Just allow the emotion to complete the journey it came to make. You'll eventually discover something most people spend their entire lives chasing. Peace doesn't come from controlling every emotion. Peace comes from no longer being afraid of them. And perhaps that's the deepest lesson Stoicism has to offer. Freedom isn't found in controlling everything that happens to you. Freedom begins the moment you stop fighting what's happening within you. Because the strongest person in the room isn't the one who never feels pain. It's the one who can feel everything and still choose wisdom over reaction, presence over panic, and peace over resistance. Conclusion. Maybe after watching this video, your life won't suddenly become easier. There will still be mornings when you wake up feeling heavy. There will still be days filled with disappointment, anxiety, loneliness, or grief. Life isn't going to stop testing you. And Stoicism never promises that it will. What it does promise is something far more valuable. It teaches you how to stop turning every painful moment into unnecessary suffering. From this day forward, when an uncomfortable emotion appears, don't rush to fix it. Don't judge yourself for having it. Don't ask, "How do I make this disappear?" Instead, ask, "What is this feeling trying to teach me?" That one question can change the relationship you have with yourself for the rest of your life. Because peace isn't the absence of emotional storms. Peace is remaining steady while the storm passes through. That's the quiet power of a Stoic, not someone who never feels, but someone who refuses to become a prisoner of what they feel. So, if there's only one sentence you remember from today's video, let it be this: don't fight your emotions. Let them finish the journey they came to make. You may be surprised to discover that the peace you've been searching for was never waiting at the end of the battle. It was waiting the moment you decided to stop fighting yourself. If this message spoke to you, take one small action today. The next time sadness, fear, anger, or exhaustion shows up, pause, take one slow breath, and simply say, I'm willing to experience this without running from it. If you found value in this video, subscribe to the channel and join us as we explore more timeless lessons from practical Stoicism, lessons that help you live with greater calm, clearer judgment, and unshakable inner strength. And before you go, leave this sentence in the comments: I choose to observe, not resist. That isn't just a comment. It's the first step toward a quieter mind, a stronger character, and a life no longer controlled by fear.